Kusuzangpa, a very warm welcome to Bhutan This Week. My name is Samton Dolkar. Our top stories this week. His Majesty the King on tour to central, eastern and southern regions. The Health Ministry is implementing 4 strategies to mitigate community transmission of COVID-19. And cordyceps auctions across the country to take place as usual. Now the news in detail. His Majesty the King is on a royal tour of the central and eastern parts of Bhutan to inspect the impact and works related to COVID-19. Prime Minister Dr. Lottit Sring and the National Council Chairperson Tashi Dorji are accompanying His Majesty.
Yesterday, His Majesty visited the Bumthang Wopthang Agriculture Project in Tang. The project, an initiative of the opposition leader, is financed by the Prime Minister's office and has engaged retired agricultural officers, Geok, MOAF and the local community to produce organic vegetables.
Ani yo mimi sule pentoni mele tele ani ikoli te mi ani minapti sule pentoni sumche.
After the visit, His Majesty granted toka to the people of Tang and granted audience to class 10 and 12 students of Jakar Central School. Schools have reopened for class 10 and 12 students since 1st July. His Majesty also visited a new carpentry workshop which uses Swiss technology in Batpalatang. On 5th July, His Majesty granted an audience to the Bumthang COVID Task Force which offered updates on the economic impact of COVID in Bumthang. His Majesty also offered prayers at Kuje and Jamelaga as well as at the Nimalung Pantigumba in Chume. His Majesty will be continuing to visit the eastern and southern parts of the country in the next few days. Sonamongdi, BBS News.
As reflected in the government's economic contingency plan, the Tourism Council of Bhutan will be setting up 2 new entry points with integrated checkposts at Gilifu and Samdupjonkar. The tourism sector has come to a complete standstill as a result of border closure and travel restrictions.
The move to set up new entry points is in preparation for the reopening of the sector once the pandemic subsides. The Economic Contingency Plan document mentions that it is also to facilitate a more proportional spread of tourists across the country, especially in southern foothills of Galifu and Samdupjonkar, with favorable weather conditions in winter. As per the Bhutan Tourism Monitor Report 2018, around 35% of the international tourists who visited Bhutan in 2018 cited Bhutan's favorable weather condition as the primary reason for their visit. Besides, the Council has also drafted an interim standard operating protocol for sustainable development fee to be implemented until the full guideline for management of regional tourism is rolled out as part of the national tourism policy. The SOP is intended to facilitate and guide payment of SDF by the regional tourists. The Council will also be assessing uncertified hotels for possible certification. Currently, only dollar-paying tourists are mandated to stay in at least 3-star hotel. However, this regulation does not apply for regional tourists, because of which there was a surge in the number of regional tourists, leading to increased demand for uncertified hotels. The number of uncertified hotels has increased to more than 500 as of today. To ease business processes such as transferring toll payments and refunds, the Tourism Council will also be implementing system integration together with the banks in a phased manner. These are programs with medium and long-term impacts to prepare the sector for reopening once the pandemic subsides. The tourism sector in the country started bearing the COVID-19 impacts as early as November last year with cancellations of travel plans. Bhutan saw more than 2,400 visa cancellation during the onset of the COVID-19 in March. According to Budget Report 2019-2020, the revenue from tourism sector sharply declined by 41% in 2019-2020 compared to 2018-2019. Pupkiem for BBS News.
Bhutan is back in the Tier 2 watch list of the annual Trafficking in Persons report. This indicates the country is once again making efforts in fighting trafficking in persons in line with the Trafficking Victims Protection Act of the United States of America. However, it does not meet the minimum standards for the elimination of trafficking yet. The U.S. State Department Office issues the report ranking governments based on their perceived efforts to acknowledge and combat trafficking in persons. Bhutan moved to the Tier 2 watch list after remaining in Tier 3 in 2019. Records show the Bhutanese government made key achievements from 2013 to 2017 and was upgraded to Tier 2, but the ranking dropped to the Tier 2 watch list in 2018. As per the annual Trafficking in Persons report, the fall in the last 2 years is attributed to Bhutanese law's inconsistencies with international law, and courts continued to dismiss trafficking charges in cases that met the international definition of trafficking. Moreover, officials did not identify any trafficking victims during the reporting period. The government did not provide protective services to Bhutanese labor trafficking victims identified abroad, and the government continued to rely on civil society leadership for some anti-trafficking efforts. However, the latest development of moving to the Tier 2 watch list means lifting of the restrictions imposed earlier as per the Trafficking Victims Protection Act of the United States of America. An official from the Home and Cultural Affairs Ministry said the countries in Tier 3 are normally denied non-humanitarian and non-trade related foreign assistance.
They could also withhold, funding of for the government officials or employees' participation in educational and cultural exchange program, and also they could, ask the international banks such as International Monetary Fund to vote against, providing loans to that country. So in terms of visa also, there is a possibility of US government denying visa to the citizens of that country which falls under Tier 3.
However, Bhutan enjoyed presidential waiver in terms of concessions on certain restrictions while in Tier 3. This was considering the efforts put in by the government against trafficking in persons. From 2007 till now, Bhutan recorded only 8 cases of trafficking in persons, of which 7 received a conviction.
While the number of cases that takes place in the respective countries is important for the review, I think it is not the number of cases actually determines where you fall. I think it is the mechanisms that you put in place that really matters, how you have tackled the issue, and what are the laws being put in place, and how are you trying to minimize this kind of issues. These are the things that is more important than counting the number of cases.
To incentivize continuous improvement, the U.S. State Department Office limited the number of consecutive years a country could remain on the Tier 2 watch list to 2 consecutive years. Should it fail to make improvements, it would be automatically downgraded to Tier 3. Bhutan is already working towards exiting the watch list and improve its ranking once again. To this effect, it is reviewing the provisions of Bhutan Penal Code related to trafficking in persons to ensure they suit the international standards. The amendment bill is with the National Council. Samtin Dolkar, BBS News. Besides preventing the spread of novel coronavirus, the various measures and restrictions put in place for the disease helped bring down crimes in the capital. Records with Thimphu police show over 700 cases were reported from January till 1st July this year. For the same period in 2019, the figure was over 1,000.
Closure of entertainment center is one measure taken in March to discourage public gatherings to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Similarly, in April, it was made mandatory for all businesses to close by 7 p.m. These measures resulted in a lower number of crimes recorded. Larceny, one of the top 3 crimes in Thimphu, saw a drastic decrease. From 247 cases reported between January and July last year, the number was more than halved this time. Battery cases also reduced to 142 from 148 in the first 6 months. Similarly, the number of drug cases dropped to 132 cases from 163 during the reporting period. Besides, burglary and auto stripping saw a similar trend of decline in the capital. As per the crime mapping, most crimes were committed in the core town areas. The officer commanding of Thimphu police station, Gembo Penjor, said most crimes are committed late into the night or early morning. But following the COVID-19 pandemic, people are restricted from loitering late at night or in groups, and gatherings are discouraged. Gillidim for BBS News.
To mitigate community transmission of the coronavirus, the Health Ministry is implementing 4 strategies which include intensifying testing, enhancing surveillance and search capacity, and promoting behavior change among the public. The Health Minister said mitigation strategies are critical as community transmission is inevitable.
With the Health Ministry starting RT-PCR testing facility at Galifu Hospital, the facility is now available in all regions in the country. The Ministry has also initiated antigen testing across the southern border. International Technology Review hazarded that antigen testing could be a faster and cheaper way to diagnose COVID-19. The Minister said these measures will intensify testing of coronavirus in the communities.
다 antigen testing semidi ngachara hapada khachunale bashimlebe tashimle nebubdi yuga migatani gi takshedi debolu anidi yunda chungujinalu halam menda sumtu dechinalura topsu antigen testing di gutamba first phase di ngachegi ma sansam darigi menkadusuna gara chapsi seshuni ngachegi jongdare chin chai the test chabne guchudai seshuni antigen testing di southern borders na da shule da dari hapta chi ni gi nangkonara tele ngache jongka shenna lepa the antigen testing di shigi shapto di miselu phuni seshuni.
The Ministry is also training village health workers, school health coordinators, and is also asking officers to identify COVID safety officers to enhance surveillance for early detection if there is any community transmission.
Tonsep ki member yula. Yugo karana yu mi tontal hapchi yu seshuni soil henkagi. Midenalu village health worker. Ani disuda ngachara sane jungi. Midusugibe the community surveillance de chibe yugo chinalu michi nep thönso bachin hanigi joba tashin simle takshebe tanigi.
There will also be periodic testing of high-risk groups such as bus, truck and taxi drivers. The third strategy is to enhance the ability of the healthcare facilities to handle a large number of cases. If there is a community transmission, only symptomatic positive cases of the coronavirus will be treated at the hospital.
Ngachigi desu plus ngacha dato desu yumidi anilu ngacha soyigi jongdar pyshimle de khungibe mi coronavirus yumidi khungibe danjibeni dilut mabakane nani sani gane mimi dusula de coronavirus yu nani sani gane mimichi the inkena bewashin asymptomatic cases ani de anebe managementila da symptomatic cases the chamchi de mengana onila.
The Minister highlighted that promoting behavior change among the public is the most critical strategy.
Kaktap ki khabe mi 맨쪽이 맨에 미세 슈니라 다도 선적이 바나 다도기 선적이 바나 안에 보달로 나첼로 같이 유 서와친 로 챈릭 캐촉도 수기 날레 봐친 나체라 카기 카레디 랍추니디 사토샤니디 텔레 미 좀조루주 마베니디 아니 지 나체기 랄렌탑 소바친 테 다도 나첼로 미데나 데치베 튠디기 베로라 나메 섬에 펜바 몸유세.
The minister shared that these strategies are critical in preventing community transmission as schools reopen and people adapt to the new normal due to COVID-19. Pupkem for BBS News.
And while Bhutan's coronavirus cases continue to rise, the health minister said the country's COVID-19 recovery rate is at 88% with 0 deaths. Of the 77 positive cases, 55 patients have recovered.
Currently, there are only 9 COVID-19 patients in the isolation ward, including 2 females. Health Minister during the press conference informed that all patients are stable.
So il henka gibe te shipchi achi beta bodalu tengajara menkanalu zuigi nimdile menkana gademchi chuncho nim gademchi chuncho dubmesa wachin te ma sho chigira jasha ma sho chigira average cell up me inkena bewachin anidi nim chuchi dachi average 11 days of in hospital stay du se shuni ta dinalu lalu achi nyusochi lali achi masochi anigi gorimdi bewachin te nyusudi nim tru tele masudi nim 32 nim sumchuso ni.
Now, there are only 18 Bhutanese in de-isolation. De-isolation is the 2-week-long period where a confirmed positive case is kept for further observation after testing negative twice in isolation. Today, there are 754 Bhutanese in quarantine facilities. Some 8,000 Bhutanese were quarantined since March this year. Sangishizom for BBS News.
The Health Ministry has announced that it will provide COVID-19 medical certificates for people who want to travel outside. The ministry recently issued an executive order stating that this facility would be available from 3rd July. However, people will have to pay for the tests required to obtain the certificate.
With many countries easing restrictions and letting in travelers, the Health Ministry says citizens and foreigners in the country will begin to travel to other countries. However, with most countries requiring travelers to produce COVID-19 test certificates, the Health Ministry says it would be inconvenient if one cannot get the certificate in the country. Currently, there are 3 methods of testings in use in the country, which will all be available to the public. RT-PCR testing will cost 3,000 Newton, while the rapid antigen test and the rapid antibody test will cost 1,000 Newton each. The test, however, needs to be conducted within 72 hours of the planned departure. The decision was endorsed during the 66th Hengeshansu meeting held recently. Sangishizon for BBS News.
34 new HIV cases have been detected in the last 6 months. The cases were detected among 15 male and 19 female, and almost every one of them contracted the virus through unprotected sex. Most of them are farmers and housewives. This takes the total number of HIV cases reported in the country since 1993 to 721. Cordyceps auctions across the country are set to take place as usual, but with proper COVID-19 preventive measures in place. With the cordyceps harvesting period drawing to a close, collectors in Bhutan were worried if the annual auction would take place at all. They are also worried if bidders would take part in the auction due to the international flight restrictions in the country affecting export business.
It hasn't been a kind season for cordyceps collectors this year. Bad weather conditions and poor harvest, along with the death of a fellow collector due to altitude sickness, will be remembered as one of the worst cordyceps harvesting memories for collectors in Chekor.
We were confined to our tents for about 2 weeks due to heavy snowfall. After a few weeks, when snow melted a bit and when we started looking for the fungus, we came to know that the harvest was poor compared to the last few years.
Even though the Agriculture Ministry extended the harvesting period by 2 weeks, I had to come home early as the yield was very poor this year. Moreover, I was running out of ration. I only get 130 pieces of cordyceps. Usually I get 600 to 700 pieces.
The last time we experienced heavy snowfall was in 2008 or something, but the one we experienced this year is unusually thick. It has been snowing almost every other day, so we could not collect the fungus properly.
People had to return early because of the poor yield. The snow reached up to a thickness of our waist, which would measure around 3 to 4 feet, so we had to remain in our tents for weeks.
With most collectors already home, they are worried if the anticipated annual auction would take place in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic.
There are chances of illegal collectors coming to villages to buy cordyceps in case there is no auction at all. But as they won't have any documents to prove that their goods are legitimately procured, exporting won't be possible. So I think there won't be any illegal buyers this year. Moreover, people are also expressing their views on the need to have the auction as usual.
If there is no auction at all, it would be difficult for us to even make ends meet for the entire year. Even if we want to do agricultural works, most people here don't own much land.
The
We are counting on the government to intervene and sell our harvest in case the auction doesn't happen.
However, according to the Agricultural Marketing and Cooperatives Department, auctions will be conducted as usual and the auction schedule will be aired on BBS TV on 10th and 18th July. Nevertheless, there is a decrease in the number of exporters coming forward to take part in the auction. Only 20 exporters have registered with the department to take part in the auctions. Usually, there would be at least 30 of them. A standard operating procedure has also been adopted to ensure COVID-19 preventive measures in auction sites. Some of the measures include deployment of police and DESUPs, setting up of hand-washing facilities, and pasting drug trace QR codes at the auction sites. Roadside hotels and stalls will also not be allowed this year. For Kipchu in Pumtang, Yishe Gelson, BBS News.
The White-Bellied Heron Annual Population Survey 2020 recorded 27 white-bellied herons, one of the world's critically endangered birds in the country. The number of birds has increased by 2 this year. This increase, however, is not very significant. The survey report reveals that overall the size is low and there's a need to scale up the conservation efforts.
The annual population survey covered all currently occupied and potential habitats of the white-bellied heron along the 3 river basins of Punasanchu, Mangdechu and Kurigongri. The Royal Society for Protection of Nature said while the increase in the population of the bird species is encouraging, the numbers are insignificant to achieve stable wild population.
If we want the species to flourish by itself, I think we need to have at least 10 times the number that we have now. So if we can revive the population to around 200 to 300 individuals, then we can say like population is improving, it is doing well. But by talking of 25 or 27, it is a matter of how severely it is in need of our conservation efforts.
RSPN recorded 4 new juveniles at the end of last month, increasing the count to 31. And this has been happening every year, where although a significant number of birds is produced annually, the population is still decreasing on an average.
In last almost now 18 years, Around 80 new juveniles had been produced in Bhutan from around 5 nesting pairs. So the population should have been more than 100 now, but that's not happening now. Lots of heron are missing, like we don't know like where they are going. Maybe even if 20% of them are dying, there should be still a good increase in the population. So it is still a process that whereby we are trying to learn things and trying to mitigate the threats which is causing to the white-bellied heron.
The RSPN with the Department of Forests and Park Services have been working towards conserving this bird species since 2003. Some of the major conservation works include collaboration with the local community residing along the river basins and establishment of a captive breeding center in Serang. White-bellied heron is the world's second largest and the rarest heron in the world. It was first spotted in Bhutan by His Majesty the 4th Drugyalpo in 1975. Under His Majesty's command, the Royal Society for Protection of Nature carried forward the conservation and protection efforts. Sunampem for BBS News.
Well, that's all we have for this week. Thank you so much for joining us.